Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for coming. It's so good to see some of your beautiful faces on here. Um, so, our practice today, we're going to be working on some hamstrings and some lunges, some psoas release, some quad stretches. Um, and as we start our practice, I wanted to share with you a poem that was given to me by um, my really good friend Vicky Overfeld, who's a mindfulness teacher and a mentor of mine. And this poem is by Roger Keyes, and it is called Hokusai Says. Hokusai says, look carefully. He says, pay attention, notice. He says, keep looking, stay curious. He says, there is no end to seeing. He says, look forward to getting old. He says, keep changing. You just get more who you really are. He says, get stuck, accept it, repeat. Repeat yourself as long as it is interesting. He says, keep doing what you love. He says, keep praying. He says, every one of us is a child. Every one of us is ancient. Every one of us has a body. He says, every one of us is frightened. He says, every one of us has to find a way to live with fear. He says, everything is alive: shells, buildings, people, fish, mountains, trees. Wood is alive. Water is alive. Everything has its own life. Everything lives inside us. He says, live with the world inside you. He says it doesn't matter if you draw or write books. It doesn't matter if you saw wood or catch fish. It doesn't matter if you sit at home and stare at the ants on your veranda or the shadows of the trees and grasses in your garden. It matters that you care. It matters that you feel. It matters that you notice. It matters that life lives through you. Contentment is life living through you. Joy is life living through you. Satisfaction and strength is life living through you. He says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Love, feel, let life take you by the hand. Let life live through you. So that's our intention. Let life take you by the hand. Let life live through you. So, can you start here in a seated position, perhaps closing the eyes and feeling the presence and the essence of your breath? When we feel our breath, this prana or life force energy, essentially, we are allowing life to move through, to live through our bodies. You can begin your ujjayi breath whenever you're ready, that gentle engagement using the muscles at the back of your throat. And let's begin to put a little bit of movement into the body. So you can start just by moving side to side, the upper body, just like a wave In our practice today, I'd really invite you to allow the body to move in any way that feels good to you, really paying attention. Maybe you come into a little bit of a twist or a side stretch or a figure eight through the upper body. And just take your time here, starting to open things up. Good. And then we're going to bring the hands behind us, uncross the legs, plant the feet to the floor, and windshield wiper your knees side to side. And starting to get a little bit of movement and opening and fluidity in your hips. Good. And then we're going to bring the knees back up and stretch your right leg forward and pull the left foot into the inner thigh. I'm just going to turn sideways here on my mat so you can see. And then on your in-breath, reach up, lengthen through the arms and upper body, and then exhale, forward fold. So you're coming into Janu Shirshasana, one-legged forward fold. And just take maybe 3 to 5 breaths here. Starting to open up the low back and the right hamstrings. Gonna take one more breath here. And then come back up, send the arms back up, stretch up tall, and then bring your left hand behind you. Lean back a little bit, stretch through the right arm and the side body. And maybe lift up and arch back, coming into the kind of a modified side plank or even like a wild thing pose, opening up the chest. Take another breath. And then make your way back down. And then switch up the legs. So extend your left leg forward, bring the right foot into the inner thigh, extend and lengthen through the arms, and then settle into your forward fold over the left leg. And feeling here again, hamstrings and low back, and starting to ease into this stretch a little bit at a time. Good. And then ease your way back up. We're going to stretch back up through the arms and lengthen. Bring your right hand back behind you. Reach and lengthen up and back, or maybe lift up and arch back, coming into your little back bend here. Good. And then back down to your seat. Awesome. Okay, come forward to hands and knees and start to move a little bit here through cat cow, opening through the chest, a little lift of the tailbone, and then a rounding of the spine, chin to chest. Good. And then you can be really curious about this movement, noticing how this coordinates with your breath. Maybe you start to move a little bit differently, coming into some figure eights or hip circles. Just take a couple more breaths here, moving through your spine and your upper body. And then you're going to go ahead and sit all the way into child's pose for just a few breaths, all the way back to child's pose. Let your head rest on the mat if possible. And
start to breathe and open up into your lower back. You might even take your hands and rest them there on your lower back if you want for some breath awareness. Good. And then we're going to come back up to hands and knees and make our way into a downward facing dog, lifting up through the hips and pedal it out, shifting one foot to the floor and then the other. Good. And let's go ahead and shift the weight into the right foot, drawing the heel down. Take your left foot behind your right. You can kind of use that space in between your big toe and your second toe to place it kind of on your right heel and press down. So it's like you're using your left foot to press your right heel closer to the ground. And if that's just not resonating, don't worry about it. Just feel into your right leg. And then we're going to switch. So shift the weight into your left foot, pressing your left heel down, and unweight your right foot. And again, maybe bring your right toes behind the heel, maybe around the Achilles tendon, and just coaxing that left heel a little bit closer to the floor. Good. And release out of that. So shift your weight so it's equally distributed between your feet. And then bend your knees, look forward, step or hop toward the top of your mat. Flat back as you inhale, lengthen out your spine. Exhale, fold. And just give this a couple of breaths. Maybe shake your head out a little bit. Perfect. And then come all the way up to standing. So ground your feet, stretch up, reaching tall, open. And then exhale, hands come together in front of the heart. Inhale, arms reach up, stretch up, lift, and lengthen. Exhale, dive forward and fold. Halfway lift on your in-breath, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold it in. And then all the way back up to standing. So anchor the feet, stretch up, reach tall, maybe a little mini back bend. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Move at your pace and with your breath. So extend the arms back up, inhale. And exhale, forward fold. Lengthen out your spine, halfway lift, inhale. And this time, let's plant the hands and step to plank pose. Holding plank for just a couple of breaths. Staying strong through the core and lifted. Your next exhale, lower down, Chaturanga Dandasana, all the way down to the belly. Inhale, little cobra pose, open the heart. And exhale, downward facing dog. Good, you guys. 5 deep breaths here. A little lift through the tailbone. Continue to draw the thighs back and the heels toward the floor. Good. Bend your knees, look forward, step or hop toward the top of your mat. Flat back, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold. Good. Come up to standing. So reach up tall, lengthen. Again, maybe reach slightly back behind you. And then exhale, hands come back together in front of the heart. Inhale into your chair pose. So bending into your knees, keeping your quads and inner thighs engaged. See if you might shift your weight back just a little bit towards your heels. You can lift and spread your toes and maybe sit a little bit deeper, lengthening through the arms, a little lift up through your heart and through your fingertips and the crown of your head. Take one more breath here in chair pose and then dive forward, folding it in. Take your time. There's no rush. Flat back, inhale. Good, hands down. Make your way back. Plank pose, chaturanga, cobra or up dog, and then downward facing dog. Good, now extending the right leg back. Reach it up. Active through the foot, the toes. As the right leg reaches back and up, see if you can draw your left heel down. Maybe even walk your hands back to help that out. So you're walking your hands back just a few inches. Now, keep the right hand pressing down and the left foot pressing down. Let's walk the left hand back to about the middle of the mat. Maybe keep it there on your palm or your fingertips, or really engage your core and take this left hand away and hug the left arm back along the side. Sorry, I'm laughing at my cat. Left arm back alongside the body. Don't get distracted, you guys. Stay in your teeter-totter. And then left hand to the floor. Pull your right knee in toward your chest. Step your foot all the way through. And we're going to come down to the left knee and stretch and lengthen up through the arms. So you're in a low lunge with the left knee down. Reach up tall. As you exhale, bend your elbows, deepen into your lunge a little bit, open up your chest. And then straighten up the arms, bring the hips back a little bit, bring the fingertips to the floor, pick up your back knee and straighten up your front leg as best you can. Coming into a little modified pyramid pose. It's okay if that back heel is lifted. We're going to go through this sequence a couple more times. No rush, just take your time. So left knee down, arms reach up. Bend your elbows, deepen into your lunge, a little quad stretch, open the chest, and then straighten back up. Bring the fingertips down, pick up your back knee, and straighten up your front leg into this little pyramid pose. And one more time. So left knee comes down, arms reach up, bend your elbows and open. Stretch the arms back up. And then fingertips to the floor, pick up your back knee and fold. We'll hang out here for just a couple of breaths. Continue to pull that right hip back and up slightly as you fold over your right leg. Good, shifting this into standing split. So bend into that front leg, pick up the back leg, reach up through the leg and the toes as you fold over this right leg. You can keep it here with the fingertips on the ground, or maybe come into a little balance challenge, taking one or both hands back behind your right calf. Good, take one more breath. And then release out of that. Step your left foot to the back of the mat, and you're going to walk your hands all the way over to the left side of your mat. Spin your right toes forward so you're in a wide straddle. Flat back as you inhale, and then exhale, let's fold it in. 5 deep breaths in Prasarita Padottanasana, this wide straddle forward fold. And just feel your breath here, the sensation in your body, and that balance of effort and ease. Good. And then we're going to lengthen back up. Inhale and walk the hands back up to the top of the mat. And step right foot back to plank pose. Finish your vinyasa. Chaturanga, cobra, or up dog. And then downward facing dog. Good. Okay, left leg in the air, you guys. Reach it up. Left leg reaches. And again, as the left leg extends back and up, try to draw your right heel closer down toward the floor. Maybe walking your hands back a little bit to help with that. So you want to feel really stable and solid through your left hand and your right foot. And then maybe walk your right hand back a little bit. You can come up onto the fingertips or the palm. Keep your core really strong. And then maybe unweight your right hand entirely, coming into your strong teeter-totter down dog. Give this another breath or two. Good. And then the right hand goes back to the mat. Pull your left knee in toward your chest, strong and lifted. Step it through. Low lunge. So your right knee comes down. And then we're going to stretch up to the arms and work with this little sequence we did on the other side. So reach up, inhale. Exhale, bend your elbows. Open your chest, deepen into your lunge a little bit. Stretch arms back up, inhale. Exhale, hands to the floor, fingertips to the floor. Pick up your back knee and straighten up your left leg as best you can. Doesn't have to straighten out all the way. If you happen to have blocks are really nice underneath your hands. So come back to your right knee and stretch the arms back up. Bend your elbows and open through your chest. And then stretch back up, inhale. Fingertips down. Pick up your back knee and straighten up your front leg. Good. One more time through this sequence. Right knee goes down. Arms reach up. Bend your elbows and open. Maybe deepen into that lunge. Stretch arms back up, inhale. And fingertips down to the floor. Pick up your back knee and fold. And hold this for just a couple of breaths. Lift your left hip up and slightly back. Good. And then we're going to shift and do our balance standing split. So bend into your front leg. Pick up this back leg. Right leg reaches up as you fold over that left leg. Fingertips can stay on the ground, or maybe take one or both hands back behind your left calf, coming into your little balance challenge. Good. Take another huge breath here, everybody. And then release, step that right foot back into your lunge. Walk your hands now over to your right side. So you're coming into that wide straddle, forward fold, so flat back as you inhale. And then exhale, fold. The this time around, if you want to unweight your hands, you can do that and clasp your hands behind your back and come into a different version here of your prasarita. Good. Give this a couple more breaths wherever you are. Rooted down through your feet. Just lengthening the crown of the head down toward the floor. We're going to release the clasp very gently and lengthen back up, flat back. Walk your hands back up to the top of your mat and take a vinyasa. So step your foot back, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, open and lift through the heart. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Take a breath here. And then bend your knees, look forward, step or hop to the top of your mat. Flat back, lengthen as you inhale. Exhale, fold. Good. Come all the way up to standing, everybody. So reach up, lengthen and open. And then exhale, hands come together at the heart. We're going to work with a little standing balance today. So I'm going to turn and face you. Bring your hands to your hips, and I'll mirror you for this. Shift your weight into your right foot. You're just going to pull the left leg up like this. So root down with the right foot, pull the left leg up, hold on to the knee. A little high mountain pose. And then you're going to take your right arm out to the right and open the left leg out to the left. A little hip opener here. Maybe turn your gaze to the right. Good. And then bring it back through center. Keep your leg lifted, let go of the knee and reach the arms up. Stretch up as tall as you can. Flex your left toes back, lift your leg up, and then release and bring your arms back down. Perfect. Let's do the other side. So shifting your weight into your left foot, and then pull your right knee up. Good. Flex your foot back, lift through the knee, stand up tall. Take your left arm out to the left and open the right leg out to the right. Maybe gaze to your left. Good. And then bring your knee back through center. Perfect. See if you can let go of your knee and stretch both arms up. Flex your right foot back, lift, stay strong and engaged, and then release. Bring your foot down, bring your arms down. Good. Okay. You can do that again, or you can work with hand to big toe posture. Okay, so we'll shift back into the right foot. Pull your left knee up. Maybe reach and grab your big toe, the first two fingers of your left hand, and stretch that leg forward, directly forward. Think about mountain pose alignment here in this pose. So pretty neutral, strong, and grounded. Take the right arm out to the right, and then open the left leg out to the left as best you can. Maybe gazing to your right. Keep breathing here. Bring that left leg back through center. Now we're going to let go of the left toes, but keep your leg in the air for just a couple of breaths. Good. And then release it. Perfect. All right. Other side.
Shift your weight into your left foot. Pull your right knee up. Maybe that's where you stay. Or reach and grab your big toe, first two fingers of your right hand, and send the right leg forward. Again, think about embodying mountain pose, rooted, strong and lifted. Open this right leg out to the right. Oh, sorry, I didn't tell you to take your left arm out. Breathe here. Maybe turn your head or your gaze to your left. Good, you guys. All right, bring it back in. Let go of your right toes, but see if you can hold that leg up for just a sec. Couple breaths. Good, and then release. Whew, shake it out a little bit if you need to. And back to the top of your yoga mat. Mountain pose, rooted and strong. Take the arms up, inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale, lengthen your spine. And then plant your hands, step it back, plank pose. Lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, coming into a little cobra or up dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Right leg in the air, so stretch it up, long and lengthened. Bend your leg and open up to your hip. Little stretch here. And then step your right foot through, coming back into a low lunge. So drop down to your back knee and bring your hands up to your right thigh. Okay, so this is always an option, just coming into your low lunge with your hands on your thigh or reaching your arms up, okay? But I'm also going to talk you through a quad stretch here. Watch your left knee. If it doesn't feel good, then let this go. But if you're able, I'd like for you to grab your left foot with your left hand and bring your left heel towards your butt. You could even pull your hips back a little bit and connect that. So for me, it feels better to have my weight a little bit forward, kind of toward my thigh in front of my kneecap. Your hand can be on your thigh, your elbow can be on your thigh, or you can work with the right arm up. Okay, so just kind of play around with this. Feel into the back quad. And again, we're doing our best to square off the hips and maybe push the hips forward just a little tiny bit. If not, then back off and bring your hips back. Now, the last little progression here is to take this right arm, this right hand back, and hold on to the foot with both hands. And you can continue to pull your heel in, open up your chest. Give this a couple more breaths. Okay, don't slingshot your way out of this. Easy does it. Bring your foot down, pick up your back knee, and stretch your right arm up for a twisting lunge. So left hand down, right arm reaching up. You could always use a block here underneath your left hand as you open through this twist. If you'd prefer to come into a prayer twist, bringing your elbow over to the outside of your knee, you can do that. So take 2 or 3 more breaths here in your twisting lunge, maybe sending a sigh out your mouth. Good. Release out of that, everybody. Step your right foot back to plank pose. Lower down, chaturanga. Now bring your arms back along your sides and
lift up into a locust pose. So shoulders back, heart lifted. Keep your inner thighs and legs pulling toward that midline. Maybe a little bend in your elbows. 2 more breaths here. And release out of that. Okay, now you're going to bring your forearms to the floor into a little Sphinx pose. Bend your left leg. So this is similar to what we just did. Grab your foot with your left hand. And if you need to come down closer to the floor like this, that's fine. Otherwise, stay propped up onto your right elbow or forearm and start to pull your left heel toward your butt or toward your glute. Maybe a little bit to the outside of your hip. This is called a half frog pose. So you could keep it here, or you could actually turn your hand so the fingertips point forward and the left elbow points up. That's not going to be for everybody, but you can check it out and see if that works for you. Now, either keep it here, or the last option is to push into the floor with your right hand, straighten out your right arm, and continue to pull or push your left heel down toward your butt, toward your glute. That's intense. Take another breath. And release, and just let your body hang out here for a second. Belly down. Awesome, you guys. All right, come back up, hands and knees. Maybe take a couple rounds here in cat-cow. Good, and then downward facing dog. Root down through your palms, lift your hips up. And then your left leg will stretch back, reach it up and lengthen. Bend your left leg, lift and open up through your hip. Step your left foot through, coming into this low lunge, and the right knee comes down. I know we're doing a lot of step with the knee down, so just be mindful and wise with what you're doing. Hands can come to the thigh, or the arms can go up, and you can keep it right here with your knee down. Or bend your right leg, reach back and grab your foot with your right hand. If you need to put extra padding underneath that right knee, that's fine. And to bring your heel toward your butt. Okay. Again, hand can stay on the thigh or maybe come down to the forearm. Or you could take your left arm and reach it up. And just feel here into this stretch. Again, for me, I like to shift my weight forward a little bit. Feels better on my knee. And then my left arm, I might take it back and hold the right foot with both hands. Pulling heel to the butt, H to the B is what we say. Well, that's from forest yoga. And open up the chest. Take one more breath here, wherever you are. And again, don't slingshot, just gently ease your way back. Pick up your back knee. Right hand stays on the ground. Left arm reaches up for your twisting lunge on this left side. So you can keep it here, or maybe you take your right elbow over to the outside of that knee, coming into prayer twist, or spreading through the arms. 2 more cleansing breaths here in your twist. Good, and then release out of that. Step your left foot back to plank. Lower down, chaturanga. All the way down to your belly. Take your arms back along your sides and lift up into your locust pose. So strong through your core, reaching through your back toes, shoulders back, lifting up through your chest. 2 more breaths. And release. Coming up onto your forearms for little Sphinx pose. Bend your right leg. Again, you can bring your chest and belly closer to the ground if you want. See if you could grab your right foot with your right hand. And again, H to the B, heel to the butt. And maybe keep it there, drawing your heel towards your glute, or turn your hand around so your fingertips are pointing forward. Push the heel of the hand down on the top of the foot, elbow and shoulder back. Lift up through your chest. And maybe straighten up this left arm, pushing into the ground. Continue to draw your right heel down. 2 more breaths. Good. And release. And just let your body rest here. Belly down. Good. All right. Come back up to hands and knees. Take a couple rounds here in cat-cow. And then make your way back to downward facing dog. Lifting up through the hips. Stretch your right leg back. Lengthen it up. Bend your right leg and open through the hip. And step that right foot through. And let's come down to the back knee for just a moment. Bring both hands to the inside of that right foot. Okay, so your right foot can inch over toward the right side of your mat if you want. Keeping it here, or you could pick up your back knee and drop down to your elbows and your forearms. Okay, so you're just coming into any version of this low lunge. Now, if you're feeling like you want to take this a little bit deeper, you can come into an arm balance called twig pose, which means that you'll wrap your right arm and shoulder around the inside of that right leg, right hand over to the pinky toe side of the foot, hop the back foot forward just a little bit, and then walk your hands beyond your toes, moving your shoulders, your head forward, picking up your back leg. Good. Let's release on out of that. Bring your back knee down, straighten out your front leg. So if you look at this, this is what we call Ardha Hanumanasana. Okay, so the half splits. You can keep it here, folding over your right leg, or you can move toward Hanumanasana, the full split. So your right leg moves forward and your left leg stretches back behind. And depending on where you are, you could maybe even extend your arms up alongside your ears. You could always sit on a block here. Breathe, take 2 or 3 more breaths in Hanumanasana. Good, and then inch your hands over to your left a little bit, swing this right leg back, and you can sit all the way back to child's pose for just a couple of breaths. Good, you guys. All righty. Second side. So back up, hands and knees, downward dog. Left leg back, reach it up. Bend your left leg, open your hip. And step left foot through, low lunge. So right knee comes down. Both hands go to the inside of the left foot. So you might inch your left foot to the left side of your mat. This can be where you stay. Or maybe you pick up your back knee, fire up that back leg, maybe drop down to your forearms, your elbows. Anywhere along this progression here, you can pause and just breathe. Low lunge. If you're wanting to move into your arm balance or twig pose, wrap your left arm and shoulder around the inside of that left leg. So your left hand is all the way over to the pinky toe side of your left foot. You might hop your back foot forward a little bit, walk your hands beyond your toes, lean into this, pick up your right leg. Good, you guys. All right, unwind out of that. Right knee goes back down. Straighten out your left leg. Maybe flex your foot back. So your hips are stacked over that right knee. The left leg is straight. This is Ardha Hanumanasana. Keeping it here or shifting left foot forward, right leg back, working into the full splits or Hanumanasana. And again, maybe you unweight your hands here, suspend there, or hold, stack your hips on a block, or that left thigh or glute on a block. My left side significantly tighter than my right. I don't know if you can relate to that, but that's true for me. Couple more breaths here. Whatever version of these splits. Walk your hands to your right. Swing that left leg back. Make your way back to child's pose. Good, you guys. All right, back up to hands and knees, downward facing dog. Stretch your right leg back again, reach it up. Bend your leg and open your hip. Cross your right knee over to touch your left elbow, coming into a little core twisting plank. And then stretch your right leg back again, reach it up tall. And now take your right knee over to touch your right elbow. And then take your right leg back one more time. And this time we're going to pull the knee in toward the chest, connect to core, set your leg down for pigeon. You can always sit on a block here. And you can keep it here. You can fold into your humble pigeon, or you can once again bend your back knee, grab your foot, H to the B, heel to the butt. So these are variations of king pigeon. Now you can keep it here, or maybe you take your elbow kind of around your toes, send your right arm up, And take your right arm back and maybe clasp your hands. This is kind of a variation of king pigeon. You could also take both hands back like this, kind of like how we were doing that in our lunge. Square off the hips and lift. Good. And then go ahead and just release out of that and walk your hands forward and fold. Good, everybody. Take a couple more breaths here in your pigeon. And then make your way back up. Plant your hands down, tuck your back toes under, stretch the right leg back, reach it up, long and lengthened. Bend your right leg, lift and open your hip. And no pressure here, but maybe you unweight your right hand and flip your dog over into a three-legged back bend or wild thing pose. Reaching through the right arm and the fingertips. Couple more breaths here. All the way back to down dog. Or you can take a vinyasa here, chaturanga, up dog or cobra, and then downward facing dog. Good, and then send your left leg back, reach it up. Bend your leg, lift and open. Cross your left knee over to touch your right elbow. Twisting plank. And then take your leg back again, reach it up. Left knee over to your left elbow, little core here. And then take your leg back one last time. And then pull the knee in toward your chest, connect, and set your leg down for pigeon on this left side. So again, you can always just let go of the king pigeon stuff and come forward. If you want to work with that quad stretch, bend your back leg, grab a hold of the foot, drawing your heel toward your glute. Maybe hook your elbow around your toes. Take your left arm up and back and do a little clasp here. Or maybe you grab your foot with both hands and open up this way. A couple more breaths, whatever version you're in is fine. And release on out of that. Walk your hands forward and fold. A couple more breaths here. Good, everybody. Make your way back up. Plant your hands to the floor, tuck your back toes under. Send your left leg back, reach it up. Bend your left leg and open up your hip. Maybe flipping your dog over into that three-legged back bend. Reach through the left arm, The fingertips open through your heart. Take one more huge breath here. Flip back to down dog or take one last chaturanga and make your way back to downward dog. Good, great job, you guys. Step or jump through to your seat and roll all the way down onto your backs. I think we packed a lot in there, running out of time. So hug your knees in toward your chest and start to feel the body starting to wind down here. Maybe grab your feet for happy baby pose. Good, and then knees come back in. I'd like for you to finish up your practice any way that you'd like. Maybe a spinal twist, knees drop over to one side. But if you'd like to take an inversion or a back bend or anything else, this is the time. Kind of work with any of those finishing poses. And you can bring your knees over to the other side if you're working with this twist, spinal twist. Good, and then bring your knees back in and stretch your legs out to the floor. You can take the arms up and back, give a nice length and stretch of the body. And then release your arms down along your sides and we'll settle into Shavasana, corpse pose. And again, take your time to get there. There's no rush. I'm spending these last few minutes of practice in stillness, in ease. I'll share with you one more time this poem by Roger Keyes called Hokusai Says. Hokusai says, look carefully. He says, pay attention, notice. He says, keep looking, stay curious. He says, there is no end to seeing. He says, look forward to getting old. He says, keep changing. You just get more who you really are. He says, get stuck, accept it. Repeat yourself as long as it's interesting. He says, keep doing what you love. He says, keep praying. He says, every one of us is a child. Every one of us is ancient. Every one of us has a body. He says, every one of us is frightened.
He says every one of us has to find a way to live with fear. He says everything is alive: shells, buildings, people, fish, mountains, trees. Wood is alive. Water is alive. Everything has its own life. Everything lives inside us. He says, live with the world inside you. He says, it doesn't matter if you draw or write books. It doesn't matter if you saw wood or catch fish. It doesn't matter if you sit at home and stare at the ants on your veranda or the shadows of the trees and grasses in your garden. It matters that you care. It matters that you feel. It matters that you notice. It matters that life lives through you. Contentment is life living through you. Joy is life living through you. Satisfaction and strength is life living through you. He says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Love, feel, let life take you by the hand. Let life live through you. And of course, you're welcome to stay in Shavasana as long as you'd like, allowing the body to rest and be still. When you do feel ready, you can start to move the body a little bit, shifting over to your side for a moment, fetal position. And then all the way back up to your seat. And we'll stretch the arms all the way up. And bring the hands together at the heart. Beautiful practice this morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me. And let's finish our practice with one round of Om. Take a full breath in. Om. Namaste.